One last question that just came in on the topic of education. This one having to do with water quality and school funding. Anything going to happen with the pollution of the waterways? Do you believe 2% increase funding for schools is sufficient? And what happens next year with the voucher program? So on the topic of polluted waterways.
Okay, I'm going to go backwards here. It's not a voucher program. Vouchers are unconstitutional. It's an education savings account program administered by the Department of Education. We do not send a check out to any family. The money is housed within the Department of Education and it goes directly to the institution of learning. So what happens with it next year? We're going to continue to monitor it, and if we need to make adjustments, we will. As far as water quality goes, most of the 2% that we put into supplemental state aid or SSA, a lot of that goes directly into salaries and negotiations with the different teachers unions that are out there. As far as water quality, that's a statewide issue. That's not just in our schools. We're continuing to advance different water quality measures. We have put a lot of funding into making sure that we're not having runoff from the farm fields or your rural districts, especially in your urban districts as well, where people are putting fertilizers on their lawn, and that's running down into the waterways. So we're continuing to look at that, monitor that, and I can't tell you off the top of my head how much funding we actually put into water quality, but we've had this discussion many times in the 19 years that I've been in the legislature, and we do have a significant amount of investment going into making sure that our water is clean and it is of good quality, but it's an ever-evolving issue that we're continuing to look at.
Yeah, we won't retread the field on the field on the education thing. Water quality wise, like Matt said, we actually have, I mean, every year we're dealing with that up there to some extent. I can tell you the biggest topic that we're trying to address behind the scenes right now, in terms of water quality, is just our water treatment plants here across the state. Because of EPA rules and a variety of other things out there, for a town to upgrade, I mean, we're pretty lucky here in Council Bluffs, I gotta say that, because there's a lot of horror stories across the state. For a lot of these, our cities out there, or some of these treatment plants, for them to upgrade those, I mean, it's tens of millions of dollars because of, a lot of things going on at the federal level wise that have been going on for years and everything. Some of these towns do not have the valuation of property tax base or the volume of, whether it be residents and or businesses there that would be a high user to just upgrade their system or replace the old antiquated system. And that's a huge policy concern for us across the state. Iowa Economic Development Authority, there's conversations, they got some bills out there right now, one bill in particular there, trying to figure out how we can lower the interest rates, how we can support some of these upgrades out there for these issues wise, because it's just, if we don't help these treatment plants, then water quality will deteriorate. But it's a tough issue, right? It's really a tough issue out there. And again, it's one of those things that doesn't make the top 3 bullet points you read on a newspaper of the headlines of what we're dealing with. But at the same time too, I can tell you every year it's one of those conversations behind the scenes. And there's a lot of other issues out there as well too. But I just know, we're actually actively working on legislation right now, trying to figure out how we can support some of these treatment upgrades out there, because it's just not, it's not financially feasible without some type of state or federal assistance.
That's a huge issue in Iowa, is our water quality. In my time, since I've been in the legislature now, we've actually reduced the water quality sensor funding by $250,000. I think if you're to look at, where we're seeing the highest levels of cancer rates, and again, going and spending a lot of time with the University of Iowa there, the places that we're experiencing the highest levels with the cancers in the rural communities. And as Matt mentioned, we've got to be careful with the CAFOs, with the water runoff. Water quality is something that really ultimately affects us all. And I do think that there's a direct correlation to our water quality and our cancer rates in this state. I will say one good thing that we did do this year, though, in the House, is we have 50,000 lead pipes in the state of Iowa. And we passed a bill through the House that would require for when you are selling a home for it to be disclosed if you have lead pipes on there. I think that that's really, really important for people to have transparency on that. The EPA has mandated that we get rid of all of these lead pipes by 2036, and I think this was a really, really great bill, step in the right direction, so that homeowners know if they're going to be exposed to lead pipes, because this has really, really serious negative health impacts, and particularly on young individuals and on brain development. So that was a step in the right direction, and I'm appreciative that we ended up voting on that through the House.